Orale! Bienvenidos and welcome to the Familia FFB podcast. This is your host, Jorge Martin and Familia. We're on YouTube. Please give us a like and subscribe. And I just wanted to let you know that we're introducing something new, un poquito nuevo, but since this is episode number 300, because we're introducing something that has to do with the number 300. It has a little baseball tie to it. So, you know what 300 means to the game of baseball. But first off, I want to make sure that when you go to that Familia FFB is a proud member of the Fantasy Points Media Group. Make sure you're getting your subscription. Put in the promo code 22Familia10 or 22Familia10 if you want to do it in Spanish. You get 25% off, and then I get you 10% off more. So you get some of the best fantasy minds, and the content from this is also going to appear in an article in there. So please make sure to give a subscribe. Also, Familia, I can't tell you how happy I am and proud I am to have this person join me today. He's someone, our invitado de lujo, he's someone who played almost every position on the diamond with plenty of sabor during his 16-year Major League Baseball career. Big coincidence, the teams that he played on often won, including the 2009 Yankees, who won the ultimate prize. And little known fact, our invitado de lujo was a member of Team Mexico on the 2009 World Baseball Classic. So yes, he is familia. He is familia. He's a compadre. He's now an analyst covering Dodger broadcasts on Sportsnet, on Spectrum Sportsnet LA. And when I was working on for the Dodgers, he was always one of my go-to guys when it came to for a quote, breaking down the team or a teammate, something like that. And well, since he stole 147 bases in his career, it's fitting that he's the leadoff hitter for what we're calling In the Box. We're stepping in the box with our amigo, compadre, Jerry Hairston Jr. Bienvenido, Jerry.
Bienvenido, Jorge. How you doing?
Oh, doing great. So glad that you're joining us. And like I said, you're part Mexican, so you're familia. So officially.
Gracias, señor.
So I wanted to ask, so I looked up your baseball reference page real quick, and I saw that you played every position except for catcher and pitcher. So I know, you wanted to save your knees and not want to catch, but with seeing someone like Hanser Alberto coming in and closing out so many of those games, did you ever get can I get moments of like, man, I wish I would have gotten a game where I got to pitch?
You know what? That really wasn't a thing when I played. That's been more or less the last probably 3 or 4 or 5 years where you're going to have position players pitch. I never had a desire to pitch. I always thought, now I'm starting to sound like an old guy, that is reserved for pitchers, because, that's their job, and they are paid, especially relief pitchers, they're paid on innings. And if I were as a position player coming in and, I'm taking an inning from a guy where he has bonuses where he's hitting that 60 inning mark or hitting that 70 inning mark, that one inning could be huge for him, when it comes to arbitration, huge for him when it comes to free agency. So I never wanted to get in the game that way, but it really wasn't a thing when I was a player. It's only in recent years where you have position players pitching. I don't like it. I know some people like it, enjoy it, and Hanser Alberto loves it. He's just an energetic guy. I know he's doing it for the team, which obviously is amazing. I just think that I'm more, for the integrity of the game. I always want a pitcher pitching. That's just me.
Oh, and that's cool. Now, there are a few guys who actually played every position. Do you know what the most positions were that you played in a game?
In one game?
Yeah.
I can't. It's probably 3. No more than. I think I played center, second, and first. I think one day.
Oh man, that's 3 different gloves.
Was that right?
It's probably, yeah. I think so. I think you did that. I think you did that with the Dodgers.
Yeah, 3 positions. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's 3 different gloves. Now I think you borrowed somebody's glove for first base, right? Because
actually, at that age, with the Dodgers, I had my own first baseman. So I was Adrian Gonzalez's caddy. So I played when Adrian didn't want to play first base anymore. If we were blowing out a team or something, or he wanted to DH that day, I would usually play first base. So I actually love first base. I tell everybody all the time, if I would have known first base was so cool, I would hit a lot more home runs and become a first baseman. You know, just hitting. I'm more talkative, you know, so I enjoyed first base.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, speaking of Adrian, also your co-host on Spectrum Sports in LA, and I know he's an avid fantasy football fan. So this is Adrian, you got the official invite to join us. I was thinking of a walk-off when you got in August of 2013, Dodgers Rays at Dodger Stadium. It was in August. Hit the ball up the middle, and Fernando Rodney, el señor with La Flecha, got an E1, but you got the walk-off. Adrian scored the game-winning run. I was looking for that play on YouTube, and I couldn't find it. But I did find a couple other ones that that I think are pretty high up on the Jay Hair echelon of moments. There was a 2001 walk-off against Mariano with the Orioles, and a 2010 walk-off homer with the Padres. Can you rank those?
Ooh. I would say now, looking back on it, the Mariano Rivera walk-off was probably pretty cool because you're hitting a walk-off off of the greatest closer ever. And then I became a teammate of Mariano, who's an incredible person, incredible teammate. So anytime you do that to help your club win against the best closer in the history of the game, I think that has to rank number one. I remember us, I think we were down like 5 or 6 runs heading into that last inning. And then Mariano Rivera had to quickly hurry up and get loose because he wasn't going to pitch that 9th inning. You know, but we came back, put really good at-bats together, and then it came to a point where he had to come in the game. So we kind of ambushed him a little bit. So if I was ever going to get Mariano Rivera, that would be the time. You know, so he was trying to close out a game. He had to get loose very quickly. So I think that's the excuse I would give Mariano Rivera. You know, I was very aggressive. I knew that, you know, he has that cutter. You know, he was obviously in his prime then. I just said, first pitch I see that's anywhere close, I want to put a good 2-strike approach because, you know, put the ball in play somewhere hard, give us a chance. And I was able to hit it past Tino and down the first base line. And the tying run came in and the winning run came in after. So it was a great night.
Oh man. Do you want to see it? I actually have it queued up if you want to see it.
Yeah, why not?
All right, let's all right. All right.
Trying to do something, as you mentioned, Mike, they hadn't done all year, and that's win here at Camden Yards against the Yankees, 0-7.
Jerry Hairston. That sliced off the glove of Martinez and Fan. Here comes Roberts. Anderson to the plate. Soriano's throw. Instant win. Orioles.
Who would have ever believed it?
Jerry, what was that like to relive that moment?
Well, I mean, you know, we kind of ambushed Mariano a little bit. I think we were down 6 runs, you know, heading into the last inning, and he wasn't up. So we put some really good at-bats. We were able to battle back that inning, and then they kind of try to get Mariano loose and to bring him in to close the deal. At that point, I think when he came in, we were down a run. And I knew that he had to come in pumping strikes. So I jumped on the very first pitch and hit it past Tito Martinez, and Brian Roberts and Brady Anderson came in with the winning run. So again, anytime you hit a walk-off against the greatest closer the game has ever seen, obviously it's a good feeling. But Mariano Rivera's had many great moments. So you're going to get got every once in a while. I was just very fortunate that the ball found a hole.
No, that's awesome. That's really cool. I love seeing those, and that's why love YouTube for that. We talked. It's gonna be hard to kind of like transition to football, but really, because to play fantasy football, and when we talked at the Jaime Jardín tournament, you told me how much you love it. How many teams do you have right now?
I used to have like 5. and it got too crazy. I just narrowed it down to one just this year because I got so much going on. Obviously, with the Dodgers playing, and hopefully we'll play on through the World Series and win the World Series. I have 3 kids in 3 different sports. So my son plays baseball. My daughter one of them plays volleyball. The other one plays softball. So, when I'm with them, I'm dad. So I just want to make sure I don't want that to take so much of my time. So I said, I'm going to focus on one team. And, if I focus on one team, then I should do really, really well. Well, I started the season 0-4. So my fantasy football team's not going too well. Now, I'm in a league with Richard Jefferson, Luke Walton, Josh Kroenke. Josh Kroenke won the league last year. And a lot has gone well for the Kroenkes. They won Super Bowl,
quite a year,
Stanley Cup. It's amazing. So it was the Kroenkes' year last year, which is great. Chris McGee, he does the Lakers. Once again, he got the first pick of the draft, and we got the 8th pick of the draft. Where in a 10-team league, the 8th, as you know, was probably the worst place to pick. You either went 1, 2, or 3. Or probably 10.
Yep.
For the wraparound. So 8th, it was kind of tough. We had to get a running back because all the stud running backs are gone, and then a couple stud wide receivers are gone. We took Najee Harris with the first pick. He's had a slow start. Come back around, took CeeDee Lamb. He's off to a slow start. And then who do we take the third? The third round, I think we took Javonte Williams, who was going to be a stud with the Broncos, just tore his ACL. So things haven't gone well for our team. But, hey, I've actually won a league years ago starting 0-4. So we made some moves. Tua was our quarterback too.
Oh, man.
So we've had a rough go of it with injuries. And, when you pick 8th, you got to make sure not only the picks you have, they have to play well. They got to kind of exceed expectations. But I think more importantly, they have to stay healthy. A lot of our guys have not stayed healthy, So it is what it is. No excuses. Picked up Trevor Lawrence, just traded for Aaron Rodgers, and picked up Brian Robinson. He's a young running back with the Washington Commanders. Redskins, obviously I grew up many year NFL fan, but they're not the Commanders. Right. So I'm hoping he does well. So again, it's just one of those things where we're not out of it yet. So hopefully you can run the table.
Yeah, you know what? And you hear about that all the time, where somebody comes in and they start 0-4. I had a league a couple years ago in the Dodger front office league, formerly Dodger front office. Now it's half and half front office and alumni. And we started 0-5 and ran the table and lost in the championship. Still ran the table and got to that point. There's some stuff that, the interesting thing is, you talked about getting Najee at number 8. You probably picked after all the stuff came out about like his foot and everything like that. And that probably made him drop a little bit, but he's been healthy.
Yeah, he's been healthy. I just think when you don't have a quarterback that can give you that deep threat, well, now they've just switched quarterbacks. I know they moved on from Mitch Trubisky, but they were stacking the box. And you can ask any running back, when you're stacking the box, it's kind of hard to break through the line and pick up a yard. So hopefully now the new quarterback, young kid, he's supposed to have a great arm. Hopefully that will open things up. I know they have a tough task this week. They're not playing tonight. They play this week Sunday. I think they're playing the Bills.
Yes.
I know the Bills are pretty good. So, but hopefully Najee, roll tide. I'm a Bama fan. I'm hoping he gets hot.
Yeah, you could get a double dose of Bama with Brian Robinson too.
Right, I know what I'm doing.
Exactly. No, that and so on the receiver side, who are some of the other receivers you have?
Well, CeeDee Lamb,
right.
I think is a stud. Now they haven't had winning games the quarterback position, but with Dak Prescott, he's always slinging it. And I just figured, with Dak, CeeDee would be great, but now that Dak's hurt, they're more managing, their offense relying on the defense, which that's what you're supposed to do if you're the Dallas Cowboys. But that's hurting CeeDee Lamb's production. So he was my number 1 receiver. Our number 2 receiver was, his name's escaping me, the Commanders.
Terry McLaurin?
Terry, yeah,
Yeah.
Terry. He's off to a slow start. I thought with Carson Wentz, veteran quarterback, I thought he would rely more on the veteran receiver. That hasn't materialized yet. DK Metcalf has actually done pretty well. You know, the times where he did great, I didn't start him. You know, so it's just one of those things where a lot has gone wrong, but it's early, so that means a lot's going to go right here from here on out. Yeah,
and and Trevor Lawrence, he's not going to have anything near as bad as it was last week. So that, I mean, obviously, I think you're starting him this week, right?
I am starting him, yes.
So it's a home game this week. It's I believe it's Houston. So you got
throw touchdowns.
Yes, maybe run one in for you.
Yeah, why not?
But you know what? He and a lot of the film, the film guys, the film experts have been coming out, and they've been saying that he's a lot better. And I remember I spoke with a beat writer for Jacksonville, and he was saying that you could tell that he had more of a command of the offense in training camp. And so, you got to feel good about him, and he's a dual threat. I mean, he's got to live up to it, because we need more good quarterbacks in the NFL. So
absolutely, he's definitely a great athlete, and he slings it too, man. He can throw that ball. So again, I think last week is a kind of a humbling thing where it kind of said, okay, hey, I gotta press the reset button and turn it on. And he's just too talented of a kid. So I'm hoping that he catches fire too.
So who did you grab when you lost Javonte?
We traded for Ezekiel Elliott, actually.
Okay.
We traded away CeeDee Lamb, and I got Aaron Rodgers and Ezekiel Elliott and Brian Robinson.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I had to make a move. CD obviously is a very good, talented receiver, but I needed a quarterback just in case Trevor Lawrence kind of falters. I need another running back. And Brian Robinson is more like hopefully he takes over in the next couple of weeks. And then Ezekiel Elliott, I know he's not the Zeke of 3 or 4 years ago, but he can get in the end zone every once in a while, so I'm relying on that.
Yeah, and he's getting the volume, so he's getting the carries. You know that Jerry's going to make sure he that his guy gets his carries. So that's definitely a big thing with that one. One thing to consider for this week might be Aaron Rodgers, an Aaron Rodgers start, because the Giants have been getting beat in the air, and so maybe just make sure that it's not raining, and because that's going to be the London game. So it's going to early for us out here.
And usually today is Thursday. I actually around this time I start to look if one of my guys is playing the Thursday night football game, then but nobody's playing the Thursday night game. So what I would do probably Friday or Saturday, I really start to kind of look who's going to start. I look at matchups, weather, and stuff like that. So you're right. Aaron Rodgers, now he's starting to get familiar with his receivers, and he's starting to trust his receivers. Hopefully he takes off. But I want him to throw 5, 6, 7 touchdowns, but I want the Packers to lose. I'm a Bears fan.
Yes. I mean, yeah, that's one thing. Well, you know what? I want to, I know we've talked a lot about Bulls, Bulls basketball, back in the days when I was there and you were playing, but we never talked Bears. We never talked football for some reason. I want to kind of get your kind of assessment on the team right now. What I know it's definitely a rebuilding year, new coaching staff. Justin Fields hasn't gotten a lot of chance to throw. What's your feel from a Bears fan's perspective?
I kind of overreacted this past Sunday. The Giants game kind of frustrated me. I love Justin Fields. I think he has the it factor. He's similar to Jalen Hurts, in my opinion. And whatever the Philadelphia is doing with Jalen Hurts, that's the blueprint. What the Bears should be doing with Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields has a better arm than Jalen Hurts. So I know he's a year along, Jalen is, especially a year along in the system. This is a new system for Justin Fields. What I've heard with some of my buddies that are familiar with the Bears is they don't trust the offensive line, and they don't want him to have the David Carr effect, where he's constantly getting hit and he's going to be gun shy. But here's the sad part: Justin Fields is getting hit and sacked at a greater rate than David Carr was when he was the first pick of the draft of the Houston Texans back in the day. That scares me a little bit. So I'm hoping they start getting the ball out of his hands quicker, not having him sit in the pocket. Maybe those quick, short throws, and then occasionally have him roll out so he can have the option to run. That way, if he's going to get hit, at least he's moving where he's not a sitting duck in the pocket. I get you're going to have him throw from the pocket. I understand that. But you got to be able to mix and match it until he is comfortable and he trusts the offensive line. If you don't trust the offensive line, I'm talking about the coaching staff, then get him out of the pocket until we have guys, until we have guys that we trust on that offensive line to protect Justin Fields.
And you know what? It's funny. I'm glad you said that, because I've been echoing so much, because there's a lot of people, and in the fantasy community, there's so many people who are just like ready to bury Justin Fields and be like, look, this guy's 22 in his first year in a new offense. Yes, the offensive line's not helping him out. I look at all the running that they're doing, and you mentioned Jalen Hurts right there, and it just makes me think, if they could just do what Philly did last year, but yeah, put a wall in front of them and get him another playmaker.
Yeah. And there's the difference. Jalen Hurts, the Eagles have the best offensive line probably in football. So again, the offensive line is so important. I just played golf this morning with Mark Malone, former quarterback, ASU and the Steelers. Mm-hmm. He's talking about the most important things in offensive line. You have to have an offensive line to run the ball, to protect the quarterback. When as a quarterback, you're being protected, you're more confident knowing they got my back. So all I have to worry about is read, okay, that guy's open, I'm going to hit him. But if you're saying hike and you're running for your life every time, you're not even thinking about the receivers, is he open or not? So again, you have to have an offensive line.
Yeah, the teams that, it's like offensive line in football is like a great bullpen in baseball. The teams that win are the ones that get to the postseason. The ones that have good ones go to the postseason. Yes, that's one of the things that I always ask the beat writers before the season. What's the state of the offensive line? Yeah, apparently they're pretty good at running the ball. So, with the running, does that kind of take you back to when you became a fan and they really ran in the 80s?
What tells me we're running the ball really well, that tells me that we have talent. They're at the offensive line position. Now, I know a couple of guys especially are young. I think we're starting a couple of rookies. So you ask anybody that knows anything about football, if you ask the offensive line, what would you rather do? Would you rather give force, meaning running the ball, moving forward, or do you want to be on your heels and pass block? Of course, all the offensive line want to be run blockers because they're taking the fight to the defensive line. So it's going to be an adjustment for these young guys to be able to pass block. And hopefully they mature sooner rather than later because I think Justin Fields has tremendous talent. I think he still has the it factor. They have not put anything around him as far as talent with the wide receiver position. But I think they realize they got to address the offensive line first before you start addressing the talent as far as the wide receivers.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, you don't want to have what happened to David Carr.
Man,
because you need to get that. Yeah, I so want that. That was such a ballyhooed quarterback class, and injuries have definitely, played a part in everybody. But yeah, I mean, Trevor Lawrence is starting to find himself. Mac Jones, unfortunately, is taking a step back because of injuries. But like I said before, we need more quarterbacks. And Justin Fields. After Trevor Lawrence, I had him as my number 2. I loved seeing him because I know so many Bears fans, including you, who need nice things. So and a nice quarterback.
Need Justin. I'm hoping, man. We believe in him.
So in the league that you're in, so any guys that obviously CeeDee Lamb, he's been getting the volume. He's just not getting the downfield volume because Cooper Rush he's not that type of guy. So Dak Prescott, I know you want Dak Prescott to come back. Any guys that you're really kind of like hoping that are kind of like the igniting, kind of like lighting that flame to get.
I got Drake London. I think Drake London,
Yes.
he's a beast. So the reason why I traded CeeDee Lamb to get Aaron Rodgers, Ezekiel Elliott, and Brian Robinson, I needed more depth. But I felt like if I could have Drake London kind of step up and be what CeeDee Lamb is and maybe better, I'm hoping he does step in and be that guy. So, Drake has the talent. I know he's a rookie, but he's a monster too, man.
Yeah, and you know what? That's the great thing about wide receivers in the last few years. When they've been coming in as rookies, they've been really just showing out and doing a great job. Yeah, I think I love him. I want to see them to have more passing volume. I'd love to see that. So you talked about you talked a little bit about the Bears, their matchup against the Minnesota Vikings this week. What's what are you kind of looking forward to on that one?
Well, the Vikings are a pretty good team, man. Their defense is pretty solid. They run the ball pretty well. Kirk Cousins is a pretty good quarterback. They're a veteran team. They play together. They know each other. So it's going to be a tough matchup to go up to Minnesota and beat them. So it'll be a good learning experience. Again, if we can protect Justin Fields, if he gets the ball out quick, we have a chance. You got to be able to run the ball, though. Have to run the ball. If you don't run the ball, you don't have a chance. So I think the Bears know that, and they're going to try to establish a run. But in order to run the ball, you got to be able to go up top at least a couple times to stretch the defense. You have to be able to do that. So hopefully they do that.
Yeah, Darnell Mooney. Yeah, take some shots with Darnell Mooney, please. Yeah, but just give the kid some time to throw. We got Buffalo hosting Pittsburgh, another game. We talked about that one a little bit with Najee and everything. I know Buffalo's got a tough run defense. I gotta figure they with Pickett, maybe they try and take some shots with him, but also take some shots with the other rookie receiver George Pickens and kind of unleash those wide receivers. What are you looking at in this game?
You got to be able to at least air it out a little bit. If you do that, just like the Bears, right? Air it out a little bit to stretch that defense. And they may also give Najee Harris, get him in the passing game. You know what I'm saying? Set up some screens. He's an incredible athlete. He should get 20 to 25 touches. He can catch the ball in the backfield. He's a monster. And I think the check down for young quarterbacks is so important. And listen to me talk. Dan Orlovsky, he's a guy that I always hit him up on the Twitter. You know what I'm saying? I listen to him, so I'd steal his information because he's obviously a great analyst and he's a quarterback. But he's right. The best thing for a young quarterback is a check down. If the 7, 10, 15-yard throw is not there, check it down to your back. That 2 yards can become 10 or 15. Trust your check downs.
And on the other side, Josh Allen, I mean, they had a blip because of the rain. That offense could be, if Gabe Davis is healthy, that could be, how scary is that offense?
Gabe Davis, and then you have Stephon Diggs. I don't know if Stephon Diggs is healthy or not. Last I heard, I know he was banged up, but again, you have those two studs with Josh, who is an absolute monster. He's a more athletic version to me of Ben Roethlisberger. Big Ben was tough to bring down. Josh is a monster, but plenty of firepower in that offense. So Buffalo's going to be tough, man. I think Buffalo beats the Steelers.
Yeah, that one's going to be a tough one, especially in Buffalo. That's a rough one. In the backyard from Dodger Stadium, we got Dallas coming to the Rams. I mean, that's going to be a high profile. A lot of firepower and a lot of star power in that one. The Rams have been having a tough time with the pass rush, and Micah Parsons, I guess, has to be just licking his chops on this one.
Yeah, I tell you what, finally Dallas has a defense. It's been some time since Dallas really had a legit defense, and Parsons is an absolute monster. So again, if they can't figure him out and give Matthew Stafford time, it could be a tough time for them. But I have a feeling that the Rams will figure it out. I love the defense of the Dallas Cowboys. I do. But I have a feeling the Rams, especially after getting beat up pretty good against the 49ers, I think they figure out a way, make some adjustments, a wake-up call, and they figure out a way and they squeak one out against the Dallas Cowboys, something like 2017, that type of game.
I agree, because I think this is a game. I mean, obviously it's going to be at home, but there's going to be a lot of Dallas Cowboys fans at SoFi Stadium. Uh, I think both defenses are going to show up, because the Cowboy offensive line has also had some leaks, and you got number 99 from the Rams, who's just going to be in
He's
Cooper
pretty
Rush.
good.
Yeah, he's I think he's okay. He's okay. Yeah, that guy's just Aaron Donald, just unstoppable, and Cooper Kupp has just been has been so tough. I imagine he was gone by the time the number 8 pick came
I
up in
think
your.
Cooper went. I think Josh got him. Josh owner for the
Of
Rams.
course.
I think he got him with the 4th pick. I think he got him with the 4th pick. So, yeah, if Cooper was there at 8th, I would have picked Cooper Kupp, of course, but he wasn't there.
No, yeah, Josh Kroenke's not going to pass up on Cooper on that guy. But yeah, you're right, and it's that's going to be. I think that's got a 43-point over under. Yeah, I think that game's going under. I just think both defenses are really going to come to play. One game that 2 more games that I want to really quickly talk about that are really star powered. Baltimore hosting Cincinnati on Sunday Night Football. I mean, gosh, how excited are you on that one?
Now, I think that's going to, whatever the over-under, I think it's going to be the over. I think it's going to be a lot of touchdowns. I'll tell you what, the defense of the Ravens has been disappointing. I played for the Orioles for 7 years, so I was there when Ray Lewis was there, when Ed Reed was there. So I remember those defenses. They don't have that defense anymore. So a lot of teams are scoring at a high rate against the Ravens. So I think the Bengals figure out a way to score a ton of points there with Joe Burrow. And then obviously the quarterback, he's been outstanding for the Ravens. Betting on himself and he's representing himself. If I stand correctly, right? He's his own agent. He's been outstanding. He's fun to watch. So I think it's going to be a game 42-41. So that type of crazy game.
Oh, wouldn't that be just great? An island game on Sunday Night Football. That would just be I would love that. Blast.
I mean, Lamar obviously he'll probably throw for 3 and run for 2, something like that.
Yeah, and let me give you a quick stat. Jamar Chase in the 2 games last year against the Ravens, 20 catches, 395 yards, 3 touchdowns. That's just so
tough to match up against.
Yeah, that's a bad man. That's bad. And you know what? And I love getting your perspective on Lamar betting on himself. That is, I mean, I know if you were in the same clubhouse locker room with him, you'd probably be saying, I don't know, what would you be telling him?
I never talk about guys and their money.
That's
up to them, because that's a personal thing, personal matter. If they come up and ask me, I'll give you my opinion. But when it comes to that, I let those guys do their thing. Lamar betting on himself, Aaron Judge betting on himself.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron bet on himself and won. He's going to get paid. And then Lamar, obviously betting on himself, he's going to do extremely well as well. So 2 incredible athletes, and not all 4 athletes getting as much money as they can. They deserve it. You're as good, or you're as good as somebody is willing to pay. So if they want to pay $350 million, hey, good for you. Good for you.
Absolutely. I'm always pro player, and I even tweeted out a couple weeks ago. It's like, who's having the better walk into free agency season, Aaron Judge or Lamar Jackson? So I think the answer is yes, both. Closing out Monday Night Football, you got the a classic AFC West. You got the Raiders going into Kansas City. You got Mahomes on one side, Devontae Adams on the other side. We're going to see a lot of points. It's going to be nice weather on that game.
Yeah, nice weather. I think we're going to see some points, but I just don't see the Raiders beating the Chiefs, man. The Raiders have struggled this year. I know they have some talent, especially on the offensive side of the ball now with Devontae Adams, but I just don't see them slowing down Patrick Mahomes, man. He's just too good, too lethal. So I got the Chiefs in that one.
That one's definitely, that one's going to be a tough one to go against the Chiefs. I'm hoping for some points. I think Josh Jacobs might be able to score, but the Chiefs have been surprisingly good on defense this year. I think we expected a little bit more time to get acclimated with some rookies, but no, they've been coming to play. So, oh man, Any other player you're kind of keeping an eye on for the rest of the season? For any player or players you're keeping an eye on for the rest of the season?
Well, obviously, I'm a Bears fan. I'm looking for a couple of guys to step up on the defensive end. I know Eddie Jackson is safety for the Bears. He's having a pretty good start of the season. I know the last couple of years he's really struggled, but I'm looking for a couple of guys on defense to be difference makers. So the foundation of the Bears has always been defense. So I'm hoping that comes back.
Oh yeah, you grew up with the Fridge and Singletary and those guys. Just kind of oh gosh. Did you ever get to meet any of those guys?
Actually, I see Brian Urlacher every once in a while here in Arizona. So
oh, that's right.
Incredible linebacker. I met Singletary years ago. Never met the Fridge, but again, those teams always were heavy on the defense because they knew they had to stop somebody, especially in that cold weather. If you have great defense, you have a chance.
Yeah, and R.I.P. Sweetness, one of my all-time favorites. One Dodger question before we get our walk-off. I think Dan Patrick did this for Dave Roberts in spring training, so something similar. You just finished game 162, and the playoffs are about to start in a few days, so you got a couple of days to play some golf and enjoy. The Dodgers win the World Series if. I'll let you finish that sentence.
I'm going to copy what Dave Roberts says. If there is a World Series, they're going to win the World Series. They better win the World Series because they have done such a great job of being consistent. They play together, they play the right way, and they have incredible talent. So they are relatively healthy. I know every team has injuries. That's just the nature of the beast, but they're relatively healthy going in. So that being said, they're healthy. I think they're going to win. They win in 6.
Oh, love it. Last one, this being Familia FFB, we call it fantasy football con sabor latino. Favorite Mexican food. You grew up around it.
Ooh.
Or it could be foods, plural.
Man, I always go to the carnitas, man. I know it is plain, it's simple, but I could eat 10 of them, 12 of them. It's just so good. I just had them on the golf course a couple of days ago, and I ran back and get 3 or 4 more. I know it's simple. My mom makes the best carnitas, man. It's unbelievable. The tostadas as well. Oh, obviously, the enchiladas is great. I try not to eat as much because as you're getting a little older, you start to put on little lbs. But man, it's just incredible. And for dessert, I know that the elephant ears. My mom makes the best elephant ears as well too, man. I mean, it's just great food.
Oh man, God bless moms and their cooking and their homemade Mexican food. Yeah, sabor. Jerry, I'm so thankful that you got to do this. We got to work it out, and that you were my leadoff hitter for this one. Want to give the walk off. You're going to be very busy for this next month, I believe. And but where are they going to find you? I'm going to put the banner up one more time.
They can find me on Sportsnet LA on Spectrum. We're going to be doing the pre and post game. So right after the game, if it's TBS, TNT, whoever's covering Fox, you go right to us on Spectrum, and you can follow us before and after the game.
Yeah, oh man, and thankfully there's no games in Milwaukee this year, so there's you won't have any urge to follow Vassay down that slide. So real DB, keep healing up, my brother. Oh man, and obviously yes, also follow Jerry at the Real J Hair on Twitter. Man, he's got a nice following there, so you're gonna get all the stuff. So Familia, once again, I'm so grateful and thankful to our invitado de lujo, Jerry. You are always welcome to come back and estás en tu casa. And also we're going to make sure you get to fantasypoints.com, use that promo code 22familia10, get yourself 10% off the 25% off you're already getting, because we're more than a quarter way through the season. So also make sure you're following me at Jorge Martin 17 on Twitter. I push out all the content on this. This is going out. We're going to have it coming out on Friday, October 7th. And make sure you're giving us a like and subscribe on YouTube, and everything for the audio podcast. Everywhere you get your podcast, just Familia FFB, we'll get it on there. So otra vez to Jerry, muchas gracias. And to you, everybody, remember, todos somos familia. Salud.